Okay, in this lesson we are going to take a look at an amazing application that you can use for free, entirely for free. It's called the Quixel Bridge, and this is an amazing place to get photorealistic rocks, trees, materials, ground textures, and so forth. Let's head on over to and take a look. So just go to a window and then head down to Quixel Bridge. These are photorealistic scans of all sorts of environments and all sorts of different terrain features, plants, trees, etc. And you can download them and use them all for free. It's absolutely amazing. So you will need to make sure that you are signed into Quixel Bridge. You can sign in with your Epic Games login. And once you are signed in, you can browse around for all of the various assets. By the way, this is also where we can find metahumans. We're not going to be getting into that just yet, but you can find building assets from balconies, pillars, stairs, all sorts of things. And these are all photorealistically scanned, so they're just absolutely gorgeous. Let's take a look down at some of the 3D plants. For example, you've got all variety of plants and grass and flowers and mushrooms and clovers and all sorts of different things. We've also got some surfaces such as grass and gravel and sand and soil and stone and wood, all sorts of different assets. So for example, if you remember when we were setting our landscape cliff, if we didn't like this landscape cliff, we could go right into Quixel Bridge and we could look around for a different type of rock perhaps. So let's see here. Here we are under the rock section, and here we are under the cliff section. And let's maybe take a look at this mossy cliff. That's kind of cool. So let's say that we wanted to add this mossy cliff material to our project. All we need to do is we have to make sure that Unreal Engine is open in the background. And then you can select the quality level that you want to download at. For the sake of this tutorial, I'm just going to use medium quality so it downloads and loads nice and quick. And then I'm going to go ahead and click download. Once that has downloaded successfully, you can next click the Add button. This will add to your currently open Unreal Engine project. You might not see anything at first, but if you go and you take a look at Unreal Engine Editor, you'll see a new folder that has been added called Megascans. And in the Megascans folder, you will see some other folders depending on what you've added. So far, I've only added a surface, and that is the Mossy Rock surface, which includes a material instance and also some texture maps. So for example, if you remember, let's go ahead and open up our landscape material instance so that we can just take a look at how this works in its entirety. I'm going to open up material instance and I'm going to go to search for my landscape. There it is. I'm going to open up my landscape material instance and I'm just going to move that over to the side of my screen like so. And I'm going to actually scroll down, if you remember, to where we can set the triplanar details texture layer, basically the cliff rocks section. And from there, I'm going to grab the texture image and just put that right in like so. And there we have it. There we have our new cliffside texture. I'm going to grab the height map, the normal map, and I'm going to put that in like so. And I'm going to back up and take a look and see if I like how that is. It looks a little bit tiled, a little bit too repetitive to me, so I might actually change some of these settings, find something that actually looks a little bit more natural. That actually is starting to look a little bit less repetitive, but we have actually got some other options right here, like the triplanar rock texture layer 2, so we can combine a couple of textures together like that. And actually, let's go right ahead here and we'll set in the bump map like so. And we're actually starting to get a fairly realistic looking rock face. Now, it doesn't really match our grass, but that's actually starting to look pretty realistic. I've certainly seen cliff sides like that. Now, if you recalled from our previous lesson, we actually deleted all our grass. I'm going to actually go right back into the base directory landscape grass type, and I'm going to go and I'm going to add our grass elements right back in here. I believe there were 6. So I'm just going to open up that and find a grass asset, grass 01. And then I'm going to open up, grass 02 and so forth. And actually, that'll probably be enough. We might not need all of them. I'm going to also look for a flower asset. And I'm going to look for another flower asset. So we've got those. Now, these static meshes that we're adding, they can also be directly from the Quixel Marketplace. So let's actually leave 4 and 5 empty for the moment. And let's head back over to Quixel Bridge and let's look for a plant or flower asset that we like. Actually, this one here really stands out. Actually, is that potted? Yes, that's a potted plant. Okay, let's look for some ground cover plants that sort of stand out so we can see what we've actually done. These nice red flowers should do the trick. I'm going to go ahead and click download. And you know what? While we're at it, let's also grab these purpley sea thrift flowers as well. I'm going to go ahead and click download on those. The field poppies are now ready to be added to the project, so I'm just going to click add like that. And the sea thrifts are also ready to be added, so I'm just going to click add like that. So I am now going to head back into our Unreal Engine project and look into our Megastands directory, look into our 3D plants, and from here we see our new field poppy and sea thrift. Inside our field poppy, you can see that we actually have all the various flowers for the field poppy mesh. If I can drag and drop that into my scene, I could mesh paint with these like we were doing earlier with the foliage paint if I wanted to. It's basically the same like we were doing with everything we've been doing so far. It's just a different asset that we have now received from Quixel Bridge. So let's go back to our grass layer types for our procedural foliage for our auto landscape material, and let's go ahead and maybe just grab this one here, and let's also go ahead and grab let's say this nice red one here, and I'll put those in place like that. Now the auto landscape material, as you can see, is already populating with some of the flowers, and you can see them in place. But what I'm noticing here is that the distance between grass blades is actually really thick. It's very lush, it's kind of cool looking, but it's also very thick. So typically when you are placing and spawning meshes procedurally, there will be some sort of density option somewhere. So in this case, it's actually just called grass density right up here. I'm going to go and I'm going to actually remove some of the density on those so they don't actually spawn quite as close together. I'm not too sure what density level is going to work well here. We might need to go quite a bit less still. Of course, the nicer your scene looks with less density, the faster it will load. So it's always a balance of optimization for performance and beauty, especially when it comes to grass and your environmental assets like bushes and trees and that sort of stuff. So here I've scaled that down quite a bit. It looks a little bit patchy, but you know what? That's okay. This is just a tutorial. It doesn't have to look perfect right now, but that's pretty cool. That's pretty neat. And like I say, in the Quixel Bridge, there are just all sorts of different things that you can add to your project, from props to materials to vegetation, and so on and so forth. So I highly encourage you to explore around, look around Quixel Bridge, and just see what's available. And there's just so much that you can use to your project entirely for free. It's an amazing resource for landscape artists. Okay, let's move on into the next video. This lesson is from my Unreal Engine Beginners course. You can get access to the entire course on my Patreon page. All of my Patreons get full access to all of my courses, and I will be adding more courses and tutorials over time. Links in the description. Thank you for all the support.